Hello. Okay. Hello, Jackie. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Amelia.
So,
So, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you very much. We're so polite, aren't we? We're so
Yeah, we
lovely.
are. Welcome to our second discussion session. And today we're going to talk about your found objects. Throughout the book, while you're doing your walking, you would pick things up and see things and take them home. Sometimes it was a solid object, could be a stone or a piece of metal, and sometimes it was flora and fauna. For example, you would pick up an unusual berry and take that home. It'd be nice to talk about this part of your walking experience.
Mhm.
So could you talk about some of the things that you picked up during your walks?
Yeah, certainly. I'll talk a tiny bit first just about why I did that. And I think the reason why I did that specifically is because directly before I started this book, I was a keeper of art in Devon, working with some international and national and local artists, contemporary artists. And one of the things I learnt about through Jano Highway, for example, was a great influence on me. She's a great master of found object art. And I really didn't know much about it before. I was on a very steep learning curve. It was a new job for me. And I realized that found objects are really about not just kind of picking up a load of random stuff off the street, although you could, it sounds a bit like that. The idea is that and certainly this is the way I interpreted it. When I went out for a walk, I didn't specifically go out and think, oh, I'll pick up a pine cone today, or I'll pick up something in season. I'll try to pick up something that is in some way appeals to me or speaks to me, or actually, so to speak, comes to me. And I will do this for two reasons. One, it's something obviously that then I can think about when I get home. It's a real 3D object. When you've done a walk and you come home, sometimes it's quite difficult to forget what it's like to be outside in a 3D environment. It also gave me a collection of things that would immediately remind me of that walk in a strange way the memory works. I also very lucky to have a metal worker and jeweler, Katie Gare, who is my partner. So I was really hoping at about 3 or 4 weeks in that she would look at some of these found objects and wouldn't be able to resist making art from them. So I rather cheekily asked for a corner in her workshop to place my found objects, and she said yes. And I'm very glad to say that almost without my prompting, she sort of said one day, oh, that's quite a nice piece. I think I'll make something with that. So gradually, organically, she began to make pieces that we didn't discuss a huge amount. She did exactly what she wanted with these pieces. Like, very occasionally, she asked my advice. So you can see now on the screen, there's a collection of what we call meadow sculptures, which are all based on flora that you can pick up in Austria and, of course, in the UK, in Europe, worldwide, really, and worldwide. This piece is a bark piece. I brought home a very beautiful piece of bark, and she made a necklace. Katie really loves things like weeds coming out of snow, which is something that I would not have really noticed. She happened to be with me on that walk. Please do take a photograph of that, she said. So sometimes the found object was a photograph as well. And then she'd work from that. So that was the idea, to let things come to me and to bring them home and to have a constant memory and to keep evolving this idea throughout probably the rest of our lives, Jackie.
Yes. And that's really interesting because I wasn't aware that there is an artwork arena of found objects, that is actually a type of artwork.
Exactly.
But it makes a lot of sense. And following reading the book, and as you know, I love walking as well and love being in the countryside. I've started collecting things as well and bringing them home. And it's interesting, when you read your book, you just say something caught my eye, and sometimes that is it. It's just something that captures you, and you think, oh, and you go for a closer look, and then you think, can I pick it up? Is it safe to pick up? What is it? And just fascinated by what it is, and it can be something very you know, indistinct, unimportant, for most people, a bit of rubbish. One of the examples you give, it was at a low point and you picked up a yellow plastic bottle,
Yeah.
which was just a piece of rubbish. However, you took that home. And tell us about what Katie did with that.
Yes, it was a low point. I think it was around about the time of Brexit and various other things happening, and thinking, oh gosh, you know, the world is getting smaller rather than and bigger, and we're not connecting as perhaps we once did. Or, you know, I was feeling depressed about various things, and I saw this little plastic bottle, and it was quite a cute little thing, just a small little thing, bright yellow. And I didn't pick it up actually, and I went back about 20 feet, 20 meters on, and I thought, oh, no, I've got to pick it up, and I went and got it. And when I brought it home, I said to Katie, I'm not really sure why, but I picked up this plastic bottle. And she said, oh, okay, put it on the table with everything else. And she actually made, incredibly, which I don't have a photograph at the moment. I think somebody's borrowing it to have a look at it. She made a necklace, which is the sort of thing that a tribal warrior would wear, perhaps made of bones, if you can imagine a sort of bone necklace with everything sort of very long, like a sort of, or something made of flowers, which you put around your neck, and it goes down to the sort of waist. And she just cut up the bottle into strips and threaded a hole through each strip, and then just put some wire through, and you can wear it as a necklace or not, you know. And of course, a piece of recycled material worth absolutely nothing, no value to anyone, and then it's got this connection with so many different cultures, so many different ideas. And I thought that was beautiful for two reasons. One, it was really lovely to use something that would otherwise be thrown away, and also, you know, that sort of thing is an act of love, really. When somebody knows you're down, you give them something, and then a few days later they say, oh look, I made this, you know. And that's actually, it's so much more lovely than somebody, say, going and buying, you know, a bunch of flowers, really. Not that I'm against that, but it's just a really lovely thing to do, and I would never have thought of that. And that's what I think is so nice about a project like this, which is a non-fiction book about walking, and actually can include so many different elements to it, which I never expected. You know, that Katie making artwork. We'll probably do maybe another talk about, I did some walks for raising money for refugees, and we can talk about that in another walk. People sometimes ask to come on the walk with me. Some people have been to stay here to go on the walk. Photographers have asked me about the walk. So all of this network has come from doing the walk, really. And all these, I see these as more footpaths, if you like. They're sort of emotional footpaths that are being created by all these different tangents that I couldn't have invented, or I didn't plan that, you know. And I'm a big person for planning. I love planning. I even like to plan my spontaneity, to be honest. But this is something I had no control over, and that was good for me, you know, because I'm, you know, one can be too controlling, they say. Did you know that?
Yeah, I'm aware of that. To me, it's a psychological, it's almost childlike, that thing about finding something and taking it home. Mm-hmm. And there's that comfort within that action of finding something, a little treasure, and taking it home and showing somebody and sharing that thing. And then the added dynamic that Katie turned it into something, or you both turned it into something else, and created something. Would you like to give an example of, I think you've got big stuff and small stuff. Did you turn something into a garden sculpture?
Yes, we did actually. I found a barbed wire, a piece of barbed wire, and I asked the farmer if I could have it, and I managed to get it home. It was quite difficult. It wasn't that big, and it was just a cut-off piece, you know. And in my not very good German, and of course it's a bit like being in Glasgow, you know, there's also a kind of dialect when you live abroad. People don't just speak like they do in the book, in the textbook, or on the app. You know, they talk to you in local dialect. So I managed to negotiate that. So again, I was quite pleased with that. And I asked if I could have this barbed wire. He was like, yeah, okay, take it, you know, the equivalent of that. And when we got it home, I said to Casey, we're going to have to kind of try to fold it or shape it in some way. And God's truth, I can tell you this now, we folded it as best we could with gloves on, big leather gloves on, gardening gloves. and it kind of folded into a sort of heart shape. And we couldn't believe that. And I said, leave it, just that's it now. We're not going to mess with it anymore. And we just hung it in the tree, and it's gone rusty. And now recently we went to the local tip, where you can go and take junk, and they know us now, and they jump in the tip and get us things out, you know, because they know we want to take it home and make it into art. And we found 4 reels, perfect reels of rusty barbed wire, which are almost like the Olympic rings. They are just so perfectly round. Somebody must have spent a lot of time rolling them up just to throw them away, you know. So we've got them. So now we've got this kind of collection of barbed wire art in the garden. And I have a chapter about barbed wire, because I think it's a horrible kind of material, but it does have a kind of savage beauty.
It's a very, very, very symbolic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Barbed wire.
It is. And also, you know, it's used in concentration camps, it's used in prisons, it's used in horrible ways, but it's also used to keep animals in. But actually, it occurred to me that if we had fences instead of barbed wire, we wouldn't have any views. So you could argue that in that sense, it's a good thing. So, you know, I really, again, you know, I had no idea I was going to write a chapter about barbed wire, to be honest. This probably wasn't one of my life's ambitions, but it's just about seeing things differently. And yes, sometimes trying to see beauty in things, but also thinking, why do we use that? And questioning and being kind of, as you say, a little bit childlike, actually, and curious about everything. The only thing I will say about found objects is I try to be careful not to take things, because I'm, you know, at heart a curator as well, that can't be sustainable. So, you know, I'm sometimes worried a little bit about fossils. If you're a professional, that's different. I wouldn't probably take a fossil. I'm not saying what people should do or shouldn't do, but I think you have to be a bit careful, or particular rare stones even, you know. So I tended to take things that were like a rotting piece of wood that would only be destroyed in the next storm. You know, a rotten apple. I took an apple from an apple tree that I photographed every week, and I left it on the side, and I kind of watched it turn these amazing colours from sort of brown to orange, like a fire colour, and then gradually it went down to a tiny little pip size. And actually, we're all aging all the time, but when you watch an apple that you pick from the tree, again, you know, I did honestly ask the farmer if I could have it, because I was there every week. I didn't want him to think I was taking one every week. And to watch it rot it is a kind of Hamlet moment, really, you know. Over this too solid flesh would melt and resolve itself into a dew, you know. And actually that became quite a symbolic piece, actually. And I think now it's so small we can't even find it, I don't think. But we watched it, you know, we watched it happen, and it's part of the aging process, and to accept that, I think. So it was a nice part of the project, actually, and it kind of, we're hoping that we will have an exhibition at some point with all these objects, either here, or possibly we can then tour it. The status quo tour of the found objects from walking into Alchemy. You know, I'm not sure to get quite the same audiences, but that's part of our plan, really, to hold a 3D exhibition, and we've got all kinds of ideas with that, and to make it a community project, which I'm very keen on. I'm very keen on community art and people being involved with making and so on, and perhaps bringing their found objects to make art with, and working with children and so on. So that's another thing that we hope to do before we get to be 100 years old.
Yeah, no, that I totally agree. That's, anybody can do found objects and turn it into something, and it is just being brave and having a go. And yeah, it draws your attention to things that you wouldn't ever normally look at. And like you say, watching an apple deteriorate and degrade, who's ever done that? And yeah, interesting to do things with these bits and pieces. That's fantastic. Our time is up, Amelia. Thank you for another entertaining discussion, and we'll be doing another one of these very soon on another topic.
And just to say, Katie Gale, she's got her own website, www.katiegale.com, and we do meadow making workshops here in Austria. People can come, and we have food and drink, and you can bring your found objects and make things with her. And we've done a few. I mean, not many, because of the lockdown. And but you know, they've been quite fun, actually. And we did plan to do some at Dillington House in Somerset, but again, that was cancelled. So you know, if anybody wants to come and do it with us or do it themselves and send us pictures of what you've made, why not? You know, it's great. We can do everything virtually or really, it doesn't matter. So anyway, thank you, Jackie, very, very much indeed for talking to me, and I will be putting this out as a blog this evening or tomorrow, and I will copy you in, of course, and have a lovely, lovely evening, and I will see you, well, I won't be seeing you, but I will be seeing you virtually very soon.
Thank you, and take care.
Thank you.